Well, welcome everyone. We are so fortunate to have Kenny here from Pedal It Forward. And he's going to talk about his organization and the things that they do and how they got started. And so we're so glad that you're here, Kenny.
Thanks for having me. I love coming to speak for anyone and everyone who will have us, because as the executive director of Pedal It Forward, it's my job to make sure that Northwest Arkansas knows who we are, what we do, what our mission is. And so I guess I should start with that. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. And our mission is to increase the number of people in Northwest Arkansas who have access to bicycles, whether that be for recreation, transportation, or just joy. Anybody else dabble in the bicycle as a hobby? Thinking about it one day, yeah?
Well, I have one a long time.
Okay. Cool. Along with our formal mission of increasing the number of people who have access to a bike, our kind of more colloquial phrases are, we believe everyone deserves a bike. And that's because we believe in the power of the bicycle as a tool, and also the impact of the joy that riding a bike can bring. It's just one of those cool things that we've invented over the years that tends to bring a smile to somebody's face. You know, if you got a tailwind or you're going downhill. It's also good for you to ride uphill too. So long story short, about 10 years ago, last year we celebrated our 10-year anniversary of doing this work. A couple of local neighbors in Bentonville decided that they wanted to give some bikes away around the holiday season. So what they did was they went up and down their neighborhood streets and they said, hey, do you have an old kid's bike in your garage that's been gathering dust? Because a bike is one of those weird things where you can't really put it on the street if you feel icky about that. But it also might be broken, and that's expensive to fix. And so bikes tend to end up in garages, under houses, in attics, in backyards. They tend to stick around. Lots of people have an old bike. As they found out very quickly, because they ended up getting like 60 bikes donated that year. First time they'd ever tried it. And they pumped up the tires, fixed them up in their garage. They said, oh, wow, this is really cool. And they connected with Havenwood and a couple other local organizations, thinking it was a one-time thing. High five, great, we gave some bikes away. That felt really awesome. Share our passion. What they did not count on was for word to spread that they were collecting old bicycles. And people continued to call. Hey, I heard you're taking old bicycles. I have an old bicycle. Will you take it? Okay, maybe, sure. Over the next couple of years, that turned into an old garage in North Bentonville up on Wishing Springs Road, which we've tripled that space now. That's kind of the mothership where it all started. They acquired an old garage and a couple of bike tools, and they continued the work. And I think the first year that Pedal It Forward was an official organization, it was something like 200-300 bikes they gave away. In fact, they weren't even really counting. They were just like, all right, let's do this. Completely volunteer-led organization for the first 5 years of its existence. But what they did formalize, those initial, and two of those folks, David Tovey and Justin Tubb, are still on our board. David's the board president. So still, these people are still heavily involved. What they did do was they formulated a really unique model, because these folks also had, big time jobs. Justin's a pilot and David was an architect, and so really smart people. They said, it's kind of a lot of work to give away individual bikes to people. How can we make this better? And so they invented what we call today our pedal partner model. And that's where we partner specifically with other nonprofits and other organizations, schools, churches, counseling offices, therapy clinics. We partner with other organizations to give away bikes in batches. And so We still give bikes away to individuals all the time who approach us, but our number one place, probably 70% of the bikes that we give away, which I'll jump ahead, we do about 3,000 bikes a year now, but 70% of those bikes are directly through our partner organizations. And so some examples of that, I'm just thinking of people I've worked with recently. We have several partners out of the old hospital here. Just gave a couple bikes to folks at the Micah 6-8 initiative, which helps get folks off the streets in Rogers. Just filled an order to a middle school with Rogers Public Schools. Rogers Public Schools, great partner. We give hundreds of bikes away to kids through that school system a year. Let's see, we got Seven Hills on the books. We've got New Beginnings. You know, really any organization that serves folks who are experiencing homelessness or having trouble finding a place to stay, have no way to get around, we're taking bike orders from them. And then it reaches deep into, one of our longtime partners is True Self Recovery here, just north of here. So folks who are getting a handle on their substance addiction, maybe don't have a driver's license, but maybe they just got a job at, wherever, Brahms, right? No way to get there. It's either try to figure out a bus, which, we're working on it, walk, or they get a bike from us. So we're just finding the most intentional ways that bikes can make a difference. And then 50% of those 3,000 bikes are just given to kids whose families can't afford bikes. Because we just believe in that lost power of a kid being able, in the summertime especially, when programming dies down, the kids are kind of like, what do I do? Mom and dad aren't around. Just the ability to jump on their bike and ride to a friend's house, or, roll with that bike gang around the neighborhood. We just really think that makes an impact. So we started giving bikes away in batches. And so as I stand here today, we have a couple hundred bikes on order in a big, nasty Excel spreadsheet. And we do that year round. And it adds up to, last year it added up to 3,000 bikes. Now, 5 years ago, the board felt like they'd raised enough money to hire somebody. So that was me. 5 years later, we have 3 staff, myself and 2 other guys, but we also have 3 brick and mortar shops now. So we have a shop right here at the Rogers Activity Center. Great partnership with the city and the RAC to get a really good deal on that old recycling center. So 3 days a week, there's volunteers in there cranking on bikes. Bentonville is bustling as it always has been, our original shop. And then last year, struck a deal with the Jones Center down in Springdale. And so we inhabit that old truck wash building on the south side of their campus, the long, narrow one. We have a shop in there, full to the brim of bikes and bike stuff and volunteers. And 3 to 4 days a week, there are volunteers in there working on those bikes that people like you donate. So that's how it all happens. Collect, repair, distribute. The reason that we can do it all, though, is because of that middle chunk, the repair. So I just left our Bentonville shop before I came here, and it was chock full of people who literally are just like you. I mean, 90% of our volunteers start with a passion for riding. Maybe they know a thing or two about fixing their own bike. They want to give back, and they join up and over time become seasoned bike mechanics. But there's no pressure. So we will onboard any volunteer of any interest level, partner you up with somebody if you want. We don't have a formal education class where you become a mechanic, but we will partner you up with somebody, give you bikes to take apart, give you parts to organize, whatever you want. If you want to be there, we'll find something for you to do. But the cool thing is watching so many of our volunteers over the years become confident in approaching a dusty old bike and saying, I I can fix that up for somebody. And it's just created this really cool network of volunteers. And those hours are like the number that I'm most proud of. And so we will probably exceed 6,000 hours of volunteer time put into repairing those 3,000 bikes this year. So I push the paper, right? I come speak, whatever. Our other two staff are the ones literally responsible for getting those bikes to the partners, taking the orders. But all of the, dirty, greasy handwork, 97% of it is just done by volunteers. So really, really cool model. I just don't know if it could happen anywhere else than Northwest Arkansas. It just seems like the perfect place to do it. Ways that anyone can get involved, right? We have this organization. We like to give away bikes. You can start on the front end. You can bring us that old dusty bike that's in your garage. You can tell a neighbor when it comes up in conversation, I don't know what to do with this thing. Do you want it? Oh, donate it to Pedal It Forward. And those bikes can be dropped off at any of our shops. So if you go to the Rogers shop and you don't catch us during our volunteer hours, which are published on Google Maps, you can just use the cable right there on the bike rack and you can lock it to the rack. And one of our trusty volunteers, y'all probably know Charles Miller. Somebody knows Charles Miller. He's by every day. He's just a local here. And we'll pull it inside. So yeah, you can lock your donation or bring it during our open hours. We also take any bike-related accessories or components because we need it all. So yeah, donate, spread the word. You can, of course, come volunteer. The cool thing about our volunteer model is that we don't lock you into anything. So we do want you to sign up for an orientation, which you can find on our website. And we'll spend about an hour with you, intentionally making sure you don't completely feel like a deer in the headlights when you show up for your next shift. After that, it's up to you when you come. So I have a good number of volunteers who have been coming for 6-8 years every single Wednesday, for example, like clockwork. I mean, some of our volunteers are hardcore. And then I have folks who love it and they show up once a month or even less. But it all adds up, right? So we don't need you to be there every Monday night till the end of time if you want to be a Pedal It Forward volunteer. If you want to come quarterly, if you want to bring your work team in, that's what a lot of folks do. They come do the orientation. They say, like me, I got a full-time job. I got 2 kids. I got, this, that, and the other thing. But next time we need a team building at work, I'm going to call you and we'll schedule you for a 2-hour work session and y'all can go eat lunch in downtown Rogers and everybody high fives. So we do a lot of that too. Lots of ways to get involved on the volunteer end. And then on the distribution, what I ask all these groups to help with is just help connect us. If you have an idea of an organization who would really benefit, or honestly, I always try to honor an individual referral. Like I know this person in this situation and a bike would change their life. We take those too, but I pride us in working with most organizations that make sense in Northwest Arkansas. And not every organization puts a bike order in even every year, but I would challenge you if you've got somebody in the back of your mind, like those folks need bikes. Come ask, make sure we're partnered with them. So that's how the model works. The poster on your table, all nonprofits have to have crazy events to raise money, right? So that's one in your immediate future if you're interested. The registration fee is $25 and that's a fundraising number. So we say that it costs approximately $25 to take a dirty broken bike from our doorstep and get it refurbished and get it to the person who needs it. And so it's just a $25 event. What it is all the bike clubs in Northwest Arkansas have come together to put on a giant bike ride that benefits Pedal It Forward. And so there's 8 or 10 different rides you can sign up for. From the easiest, chillest, 10-mile greenway ride all the way up through the hardcore 50-mile gravel ride. If you want to come out to that, it's way up in Bella Vista. It's beautiful if you haven't been up there in a couple of months. And then we all have a nice catered lunch together there at the venue when everybody gets back from their ride. That is Bike-a-Palooza. Couldn't come today without telling you about that. Any other questions?
Do you have an age group for your volunteers?
It's pretty adult heavy. What we ask for teens, and if you're younger than teens, you're probably too young, is to come with a parent at least the first few times. And then those 15, 16-year-olds, we have some that end up coming alone or getting dropped off once they're comfortable in the shop by themselves. If we do have groups of kids in, we'll have groups of 10, 12, 13-year-olds in, but it's a very like one-to-one adult to kid ratio.
Right.
Because there's a lot of sharp tools and a lot of messes you can make. So yeah. Any other questions?
I've always kind of wondered about the NICA program.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you guys have those type of bikes or if it's mostly like commuter bikes. Because I know there are a lot of, NICA's getting kind of big, the kids racing program.
Yep.
But I don't know if every kid has access to a mountain bike that they could
Yeah.
feel comfortable racing on,
Yep. We work closely with NICA. So you're correct. We get a lot of low-end bikes donated that could be great for somebody to ride to the grocery store on. But we also get a pretty good amount of qualified mountain bikes donated. Modern people will donate a hardtail that's got a 1x drivetrain and hydraulic disc brakes, and a kid could mountain bike on it. And we actually specifically reserve those bikes first for NICA. And Terry Coddington is the league director. And I texted him the other day. I was like, we've got a size extra small Trek fuel that came in. And he'll send that out to the coaches and say, does anybody have a kid of this size who deserves this bike? And we almost always connect with them. Yeah, so we have kind of a little internal mountain bike program where we focus on NICA first, and then we have other partners in the community who have because it's hard to get into that sport. The bikes are just extremely expensive.
They are.
Yeah.
And we've got the rail yard bike park over here.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many hundreds of kids live within riding distance to that.
Yep.
Who might not have a bike.
Yep. Yeah, so we do our best, and the downside is we don't have enough nice bikes, but it's, it takes a really generous person to take a bike that they know they could sell for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars, and bring it to us and say, do something good with it. But we're surprised every day because it happens all the time, so. Yeah, good question. Oh, another thing, we have at the Bentonville shop, we have what we call and this is kind of new, because we used to do twice a year a big kind of garage sale, and we still do them, but right now we have what we're calling the rummage room, so people can actually come shop. What we do is we squirrel away all the bike jerseys and shoes and high-end components that we may not use on our bikes that bike aficionados might be interested in. And we actually have bikes for sale in there. For sale. It's just a big fundraiser room. So it's a year-round garage sale for bike equipment if you're ever looking for something. You might not be qualified to receive a bike from Pedal It Forward, but you want to get a great deal on one and support a local nonprofit, you can come peek your head in at the Bentonville shop and see what we have. All right, short but sweet.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.